Okay, cool. Welcome to the webinar. We've got quite a few in here already, so if anyone wants to join in the next sort of few half a minute or so, I'm going to let them in. After that, I'm going to close the doors and we're going to make a start. I wanted to keep this on schedule. And for anyone who's watching this on a replay, this offer will still stand. So if this webinar is available online, the offer will still stand. So don't worry if you're watching a recording. For anyone who can hear me clearly, just put in the chat, say hello. You can introduce yourself if you like. Tell me a little bit about why. Yep, we've got Dan on here. We've got Stuart. Cool, we've got quite a few on here. So I think it's a good time to start. So what this webinar is all about is how to start your own automotive locksmith business from home that can make over $100,000 per year, and that's without spending years learning how to pick locks or spending thousands of dollars on courses and equipment. And I'm going to show you a very straightforward, simple strategy that can get you started today. Now, first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So, I'm Alex. I started out as a locksmith when I was 16. I'm now 34. Bloody hell, the time goes quick, but it's all been good fun so far. So, that's the main thing. Now, the reason I love auto locksmithing or locksmithing in general is the lifestyle it gives me. So, I don't work too many hours a day. I work maybe 3, 4 maximum per day. Sometimes I work for half an hour a day. And it just really fits around my lifestyle, and every day is different and exciting. So that's one reason why I love it. Um, so yeah, I started out when I was 16. Started out as a domestic locksmith, and then moved into doing some of the more sort of involved auto locksmith side of things. We're going to get into that a bit more in a bit. So, firstly, obviously, I'm quite qualified to teach you this. I've been doing this for 15 years. These are just certificates, they're just pieces of paper anyway. You don't have to worry about qualifications when it comes to this stuff. So, if you hang around for the next 45 minutes, you're going to learn my exact strategy on how to become an auto locksmith from home and make over $100,000 or more. Cool. So, and this is literally, it's what it says here. This took me 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and you're going to learn this all in the next 45 minutes. So again, if you are watching the recording of this, don't worry, it will still be available. Um, if it's online, the offer's available. I'm not going to keep it online for a long time though. So, firstly, let's talk about the skills you're going to learn from this course, from this webinar. So, this is a real business. This is, a face-to-face business dealing with customers and taking actual cash for jobs. It's not an internet scam. It's not make money online or drop shipping or all this stuff you're seeing at the moment. Some of that stuff might work, but for me, I like sticking to the old fashioned face to face business where I'm out and about with real situations, dealing with people, and generally just providing a good service to people. And that's what really motivates me. A lot of this internet stuff sounds great, but it soon gets boring sitting behind your laptop. No matter how much they try to sell that idea to you, sitting on the beach with your laptop, trust me, you will get bored. um, so this is a genuine face-to-face business. You'll be dealing with customers and actually making people feel happy and actually be glad to see you, which is one reason why I really love this. So if you stay to the end, you will be getting a free bonus. And again, that's even if you're not watching this live. I know a lot of you are going to watch the recording of this because you can't make it because of I know there's the time difference in America to the UK, but just stay around to the end and I will be giving you a free bonus. And firstly, just a little bit of house rules. If you just sort of try to shut everything off when you watch this webinar, because I want you to focus. So grab a pen and paper and take notes. Close off Facebook and all that and turn your phone off. Just try to get focused in this bit. And this will not be online for a long time. So I want you to really, don't treat this as a video you can watch anytime. I want you to really soak up as much as you can in this because this might not be available. I'm not going to keep this online forever. Okay, cool. So again, I'm Alex, and I started off. Let's go through it. So first, I became interested in magic when I was really young, say 7, 8 years old, and I became obsessed with the magician Houdini. Now, I don't know what it was, but something captured me about him. The way he could escape from anything. They even put him in jail, and he escaped. And he was a master magician. I'm also interested in magic. I perform part-time as a magician. It's another one of my passions. So I became pretty much obsessed with Houdini, and I read his biography and everything, and it mentioned that he studied as a locksmith. So I thought, wow, this could be interesting. So I sent out loads of CVs all around my local area to try and get a job as a locksmith. Now the only person who would give me a job was like a shoe repair shop who also done keys on the side. You can see the little keyboard here. This isn't the actual shop I worked in, by the way. This is just an example of where I started off. So it was in one of these sort of dusty old shoe repair shops, cutting keys and stuff like that. But there I learned all about how to cut keys. I didn't really learn about locks, but I learned how to cut keys, and I really found it interesting how there's thousands of different keys and you can identify it in the moment. And I just really enjoyed it. And if a key didn't work, I normally managed to get it working again. Just sort of got my basis there from learning out how keys work in the beginning. From then on, I went on to train as an apprentice locksmith in another company, and for 8 years, I practiced key cutting, lock fitting, lock opening, safes, master suite systems, keying locks alike, cutting keys by hand, servicing locks. I done everything. This is where in them 8 years I really got my skill level up and really learnt a lot. Then one day I decided to start my own business. This was the actual car that I started my business with. It was an old Renault Megane, and I had my little tools in the back. But that was the start of something although I started off very basic, that's what I like about this business, is you don't need to go out and rent a shop or have massive overheads. You can literally start from the back of your car, which is, it's so cool. I can't think of many other professions where you can do that. Not even plumbers can do that. And it's just cool, Just all you need is your mobile phone, website, and a car. So that's how I started. What happened was I was a locksmith running my own business for quite a few years, and I was always getting phone calls for car keys. And I asked around the other locksmiths, no one seemed to offer that service. And when I sort of delve a bit deeper, they were telling me that it was too expensive to get started, it's too involved, too difficult. and yeah, people just wouldn't go near it. There might be the odd locksmith who was offering that service, but not many at all. So I kind of had one of them light bulb moments one day where I said to myself, this is where the money is, because when you offer a service that is difficult that no one else is doing, that's usually where the money is. So that's something I sort of had one of them moments where I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to become an auto locksmith, or automotive locksmith, as you call it in the States. And that's what I done. So I invested in the tools, in the training, and set myself up as an automotive locksmith. And providing a lost key replacement service is really where all the money is. So when a customer loses all their keys to the vehicle, they've normally got two options. One is to go back to the dealer, who will charge them a fortune. The other option is to go to a locksmith like myself, who provides a key to the vehicle. And that's where all the money is in locksmithing. I've tried every avenue of locksmithing. I've tried safes, access control, you name it, I've done it. And this is where the money is in locksmithing. So if you're interested in becoming a locksmith, I recommend you really give this a go with the automotive stuff. So the 3 secrets to becoming a successful locksmith. This is in my experience of doing this since I was 16. Number 1 is you've got to get your website to page 1, position 1 on Google, or at least in the top 10 to stand a chance of running a good business. Now, if you think about it, when anyone's locked out, normally they've got their mobile phone on them. They're going to Google for a locksmith. They're not going to use the yellow pages. Usually, word of mouth doesn't really work in this industry because people don't plan to get locked out, so it's not something that people really think about, keeping a locksmith number. Don't get me wrong, that if you do a good job and you do get a good reputation, but it's more of a case of getting found on Google, and people are going to trust you and call you. Now, the other key to being a success is offering a lost car key service, which we just talked about. So I can see a few of you commenting saying, what is a lost car key service? So as I mentioned a minute ago, that's so when a customer's lost all the keys to the vehicle and they've got no spare, we come along as an auto locksmith and offer we provide a car key to that car, which we're going to go into in more detail in a minute. And the third secret is to always beat the dealership prices. If you can beat the dealership prices, the customer's going to pick you. They're not that fussed on who they go to, as long as it's the most cost effective and you're going to offer a quality product, the same as the dealer. They're going to pick you. So, if I'm going too fast, by the way, just tell me to slow down. It's because I've got so much to get through. I'm kind of rushing through it a little bit. I'll try and pace it a bit more. It's quite a lot to get through. But let's first go into the 3 scenarios on how it all works as an automotive locksmith. So there's 3 main scenarios. These are all in sort of order of how much money you can earn for each job. So there's copying keys, also known as cloning, which is quite obvious. If a customer has a car key and they want a spare, they'll come to you and you'll provide them with a copy. So that's probably the lower down end. That's perfect if you've got a shop, because you've got customers coming in and out all day. But if you need to go, if you're a mobile locksmith like myself, I try not to focus too much on this part, just because there's not much profit in it. if you're just copying a car key. Next scenario is vehicle lockouts, which again is pretty obvious. If a customer has locked the keys in the car, or perhaps they've lost the key but they've got a spare, they just need to get it opened. There could be other instances where you need to open the car. So this is probably like the middle area, which I really enjoy because they're really quick jobs, 5 minutes and you're in and you're gone. And the third scenario is replacing the lost car keys, which is obviously the lost car key service. That is where your money is. So that's what we're going to really focus on in this webinar. And that's what I want you to focus your business on when you set yourself up. I'm going to show you all the strategies and everything, how to actually do this. Once you're set up, that's where the money is. So I want you to focus on that. Excuse me. So let's go through a bit more in detail each scenario. So we've got copying car keys, which was the first scenario. And let's say the average cost of the remote key to you is $60 to buy from your stockist. You're going to sell that to the customer for around $80 to $120. So that works out at an average profit of $40 per job. Could be lower, could be higher. All depends on a lot of things like, what car it is, how cheap you can get your part. But you can see that's roughly what we're looking at per job on an average profit. So the second scenario is, gone too far, is the vehicle lockouts. One of my favourites, the quick money. So the good thing about this is there's no cost to you in doing this, apart from your wear and tear of the vehicle, your travel cost to get there, stuff like that. But there's no parts involved. You're just picking the lock or bypassing the door. So that's around $75 to $100 per job. And you might get a few of these a day, which is cool. And the third one is the replacement car keys. So let's say the average parts to you are between $30 and $80. You sell to the customer for between $200 and $400. That's an average profit of $300 per job. That's why you can see we're going to focus all on the lost key service. And that's, again, I'm going to keep focusing on this, but this is really where the money is, replacement car keys, because they're still fairly quick jobs, and you can imagine if you can fit a few of these in a day, you're doing well. So let's get on to the next slide, which is how to market yourself for success. Now, the way you do this is you show the customer the benefit of using an automotive locksmith. Now, why would they come to you and not, why don't they go back to their dealership, who can probably provide the key quite quickly? Well, let's look at the pros and cons of dealership versus the locksmith. What we do is we make it a no-brainer for the customer. So let's take the scenario: the customer loses their key and they go back to the dealership. Firstly, the customer will have to get the car towed to the garage, because your dealership's not going to come out to you and cut your key on the roadside. Wherever your car is, you might have gone to the supermarket and lost your key. You're going to have to get that car towed to your dealership. Well, let's say an average tow cost is $100. I don't actually know, but I'm just guessing it's not going to be cheaper than that. Secondly, your car will have to stay with them for up to 7 days, sometimes longer. I've heard of customers losing their car for weeks. just because the dealership needs to cut the key and it's a long process for them. So the customer will probably have to rent a car, let's say at an average cost of $300 for a week. Again, these are very sort of estimate prices, but I'd say these are quite fair, really. They could be a lot higher than this, but the average cost to the customer to rent the car would be $300. And then finally, we've got the actual key itself, which will be around $300 from the dealership. So now we're looking at $700, all because the customer went to the dealership. Plus, they've got the stress and inconvenience of having to go there. They've lost their car, they've had to get it towed, they've had to rent a car. You can imagine that's quite a horrible experience for the customer, especially if they've got, for example, a work vehicle where they've got tools in the back or machines in the back. They might be able to rent a car, but it won't have their equipment in it, so they'll probably lose money as well. Perhaps they can't work at all if they're self-employed. They're going to lose. They might lose a week's wages or 2 weeks' wages. So you can see how this can mount up for the customer. Now let's look at the example of a locksmith, which will be yourself. So we arrive in 20 minutes, so there's no waiting. I always try to get there as quick as possible when someone loses the key. I complete all the work on the roadside, so there's no towing of the vehicle, and I always charge less than the dealer would. So the way you can do that is you can find out what the dealer will charge just by ringing them up and getting a quote, and then just undercut that price, because they've already saved money anyway on tow fees and vehicle renting. So you can just undercut them. So the total cost to the customer now would be, I should have put 280 there, but you get the point. And the customer's saved around $400, and the whole job from the moment they phoned you until completion is all done in 1 hour. So you can see now it's a no-brainer for the customer. They're going to love you if you can provide this service. So first, let's look into your potential earnings as a locksmith. Now, that's probably one of the biggest questions I get. How much can you earn as an automotive locksmith? So let's sort of break it down and see exactly how much you can, well, not exactly, but an average day might look. So these are quite fair as well. Let's say you get 2 lost car key jobs worth about $250 each. That's $500. You might get 3 keys copied, which would be about $100 each. This is turnover as well, by the way, so we're not sort of taking out the costs, we're just doing this all as turnover. Excuse me. And then we've got 2 vehicle lockouts. Sorry. So we've got 2 vehicle lockouts, $80 each. So now, not just that, you might offer a 24-hour service. So, if you're working at night, in the middle of the night doing this service, you can charge double if you want. I've not included that in this, but let's say your average turnover is $1,160 per day, and that's without this $200 plus for 24-hour service. I haven't included that. So as you can imagine, this is, let's look at an average week. If you added up that for 7 days, that's $8,120 per week. If we look at the average month, that's $32,480 per month, and that's without even including the out of hours stuff. So if you were doing a 24-hour service, this would obviously mount up a lot more. So, plus, if you've got a domestic service as well, you can offer all of this car stuff all on top of your domestic business, and you can imagine how this mounts up. So let's go back to the 3 secrets of becoming a successful locksmith. So number 1 is get your website to page 1, position 1 on Google. In my course, I show you the strategies that I've used to get my website to page 1, number 1. I think I'm currently number 2 on Google at the moment, but that sort of goes up and down. But I show you the exact strategy to get to number 1. Offering a lost car key service, which we just talked about, that's where all the money is. And then again, beat the dealership prices and really focus on your the benefits of using an auto locksmith. And then you just can't lose in this. It's a no-brainer. So why wouldn't everyone do this? Why doesn't everyone start an auto locksmith business? And the reason for this is because there's common misconceptions about this, which is, firstly, they don't think that you can learn a skill like this online. They think you need to go to one of them really expensive courses where you're away for a month or so. You have to book into a hotel, you have to take a month out of your current job, and spend thousands on equipment, which is true for some people, but not for you guys because you're watching this webinar. And I've already spent, as I said, 15 years learning my craft, so I'm going to share it with you guys. So, false myth number 1 is you can't learn a skill like this online. Now, the thing about this is once you learn the first part of the process, which is really where the skill's at in this, then the rest of it is just pushing buttons. When you're programming keys, it's all about pushing buttons. You've got to know which buttons to push, of course, which is pretty straightforward. But the first part, which is mainly identifying and being able to pick and things like that, and which I'm going to show you in the course, that's where the skill is. Once you're past that, which you can easily learn online, I've got dozens of students who have gone through my courses, and they're now set up as a successful locksmith. So I know this stuff works. You won't have to spend a fortune on courses away from home. No booking into hotels. You won't have to quit your current job, and there'll be no pitching of expensive equipment at the end. Now, a lot of these courses you can go to in your local area, some of them are quite funny because they're just basically you pay for the privilege of being there. Then at the end, all they do is pitch you on what you need, what equipment you'll need. They'll tell you need the most expensive key cutting machines and key programmers, and you'll end up walking away spending an absolute fortune with them companies. So you're basically paying for the privilege of them giving you a sales pitch, which could often last for a month. So you can imagine the sort of money they make. So there's going to be none of this in this course. People often think it costs thousands to start. It can cost thousands to start if you don't know what you're doing. My methods is all about starting small, starting out on the vehicle lockouts, get confident at that, and then move up, reinvest the money into the equipment, and do it step by step because you don't want to overwhelm yourself anyway at the beginning. I'm going to show you all the equipment to get and everything. So also, The methods I show you for getting your website up to #1 will really jumpstart your business, and it will give you a head start above any competition. Even if there's established automotive locksmiths in your area, my methods will show you how to get above their website and take a bigger share of the market than they are currently getting. So you will be able to instantly start earning with this business. So here's what you're going to be getting today if you sign up for the automotive course. So firstly, you're going to get the automotive locksmith business course. This is 10 lessons all about starting your business. That's normally valued at $197. You're also going to get the practical course, which is again 10 videos all about picking, locks, programming, remotes, how to build remotes, programming keys, vehicle lockouts, everything you need to know to get you started. Now that's also valued at $197. So with both of those courses, the total value will be $394. But as you guys are watching this webinar now, none of you have dropped off yet, so you seem pretty keen.